Well, welcome back to Morning Live. As I mentioned earlier before we took a break, Mr. Roy Gitahi, CEO at Work, and of course the chairman of Obuni Sacco is with me in studio. And we really want to dwell on this matter, at Work, and of course Obuni Sacco, which is of course something that not so many people are aware of, but it's doing an amazing job. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Karibu sana. At Work.
Yes.
And Obuni Sacco. Let's first of all start with at Work. Sure.
So, Art at Work came out, was a gallery, and then we began realizing that there are challenges with very many artists who came to us. We realized that there are challenges that artists have, especially when trying to sell their products and access. And so we came to realize that, you know, when you are growing up, your parents told you become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a pilot, one of those things. The question is, what does this generation want to become? All right? They want to become DJs, they want to become musicians, they want to become artists, they want to become bloggers, vloggers.
Sure.
In fact, according to the World Economic Forum, there are some career choices that we have not even heard of that will be available for people in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Right? Now the question is, where are the institutions to support these career ambitions? They actually do not exist.
Sure.
And so what we did was, as Art at Work, was now start building those particular institutions and start looking at the value chains. How do you discover these artists? How do you nurture them, or take them to school? Where do they go to school? How do you monetize them, and how do you make it sustainable?
Sure.
All right. And the first thing that we realized, if a dancer or a comedian went to the bank and asked for a loan, what do you think the answer would be?
Wow. Security. It's just crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's most likely a no.
Yeah.
So the thing is, how come we've never thought of creatives as financially excluded if they can't go to a bank and get a loan? All right. Then number two, how do we expect these young people to build careers or build businesses without access to financial facilities?
It's true that.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's why we thought the most logical thing is to start a financial inclusion vehicle or financial vehicle strictly for creatives or people who are using their talents to make money.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's how Wabuni Sacco came into being.
Wow.
So you've got Art at Work and creating institutions like Wabuni Sacco. So what does the Sacco do? The Sacco is about savings, credit. That's the mandate that it has been given.
Your shares, usually. So the normal Sacco operation.
Well, a bit different, right?
Yeah,
it's a bit different because the institution, the Sacco, has helped our parents. It helped many of our parents educate children, put up houses. But the thing is, those privileges and benefits are not available to the young generation for some reason. And because now we've changed the concept of SACCOs and trying to make them look like banks, when they were never meant to be that. It was people coming together, pulling their resources together, and able now to do a bigger,
used to be called merry-go-round.
Well, merry-go-round is also a deviation from, but the Sacco was more of, if you look at the history of the Sacco, it was basically large landowners who were getting rid of properties and peasants who came together, pulled their money to acquire those particular pieces of land. So in this particular situation, what are we then saying? That you can now pull your resources together and as a community of young people able to now do what it is that you need to need to do.
All right. Now, in terms of the type of artists you guys are focused on, maybe is it just musician, anyone in the artistic industry, or what specifics do you have?
Now, we initially started off with visual artists and then discovered that this problem actually of not being able to source funding was with musicians, it's with dancers, it's with acrobats, it's with writers, it's with bloggers, it's with any type of person who's using their creativity to make money. So it's industries that traditional banks do not understand.
Absolutely.
And so anybody who is in that non-traditional line then is eligible to join the Sacco.
Sure.
So it means even we recently started getting footballers and athletes, people who are doing animation, illustrators, chefs who are now culinary artists, right, makeup artists, and the fashion designers, models. So the list is endless. When you talk about even jewelry remaking.
Yeah.
And these are the opportunities now that we're hoping to open up for the young people to actually find jobs, income generation activities. I find it a bit ironic that we're talking about our creative, talented and skilled youth and use the word unemployment in the same sentence.
Absolutely.
It's an oxymoron.
Sure.
All right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, what then are those idle opportunities that we are leaving out there for our young people? So we're saying, yes, you're at home, you do not have the employment or a job that you are supposed to get, but you're a talented musician. So then how do we help you? Now, Art at Work then looks at how do we discover those people, all right? Like, for example, if you talk about that whole value chain that we talked about, what are we doing then for people like musicians? Give you access to a studio, all right? You go in, you record, you record. After you've recorded, then we're able to tell you, you know what, you have potential, or please change your career choice. You know, one of those, one of those.
It's good to be true, but then
that's good. It's good to be honest, because I find people hang up on dreams that they did not have the potential to pursue in the first place.
And sometimes they don't accept it.
And you don't accept it. But the thing is, now you have a recording that proves that, well, unless you're doing comedy, that's not the voice.
Interesting. You're doing something very powerful here. You're empowering, at the same time, you're actually kind of catapulting these people. Now look, an example you've given. You'll take this person to a studio and maybe assess their potential and then advise. At the same time, this person might be, of course, talented, and then you proceed with the plan. So proceeding with the plan, of course, now financially empowering this person, knowing very well, as much as you're trying to cultivate this culture, this talent, there's an aspect of financial burden whereby they're not ready to contribute to the circle, but they need help.
Now, that's one of the things that we've actually been contemplating. You see, to become a member, you pay 2,500 shillings. It's, well, sometimes we thought it was, well, affordable. But then when you discover that that's just Nairobi. The rest of the country, by the way, there are people who have never seen 1,000 shillings intact. And those are realities that we're actually coming to understand. And so we've now left that option, that option open, where we say, just join. All right, just join, and as we proceed, we'll actually be able to find ways to assist you in getting onto that particular platform. The first step is visibility. I mean, I know there's somebody who plays like Beckham. All right, in this country, only that we've not found him.
It's true that.
All right, or her. All right, there's somebody who probably can drive a car like Hamilton. But we have not discovered who that person is. So the first step is, how then do we then start getting an inventory of what are the talents that are out there? All right, what are the talents that are out there? And that's the first step that we're doing. So we're going through a registration process where we're asking people, register. That's the first thing. And we've tried to make it easy. It's USSD, *483, *527 hash. That's it.
Of course, we'll expand on that later.
We'll expand that later. But we're trying to give platforms that are available. So in the design of things, we now look at the different genres that are available, whether it's music, whether it's football, whether it's athletics, and those kind of things. And then you begin to start discovering certain characteristics about some of these things, that they have a lifespan.
It's true.
They have a lifespan. You're only famous for a certain period of time. If you don't make it within that time bad.
It's true that.
So you have to exploit certain talents at a particular time over a particular period of time. So when we're building those value chains, you then discover about that there are gaps, all right? But the good news is that all these institutions exist, only that they're independent. All right. So for us, we have a collaborative approach. We're not competing. What's the point of setting up an institution that already exists? So we're inviting everybody to come on board. So it's like mix and match, then arrange them and say, all right, then who are the people who are discovering artists? They're supposed to be scouts. They're supposed to be talent scouts. But who are they? If they exist, that's fine. We'll work with them. If they don't exist, then we will form those particular institutions that have got talent.
Sure. You're dealing with a very active and vigorous generation. That, trust me, getting hold of them might be a bit tricky. But I'm very sure when the inception or the idea came into birth, you thought of, wow, how will I get hold of these people? And trust me, it's never easy. How did you manage, actually?
Now, very interesting, because the thing is, those strategies are revolving. We're constantly trying to reinvent ourselves, all right? It's only recently where we sat down and we thought, oh, you know what, we actually need strategic partners.
Yeah.
And these are not associations. The strategic partner who is the surprising one is actually the church.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Religious institutions,
Yeah, anytime,
because at this particular time you've got a number of issues. The church has the youth population that you are looking for.
Yes.
Number two, it has the parents. Now, many parents are still stuck on, I want you to become an engineer, a lawyer, or I will never feel achieved if my son does not become a doctor, those kind of things.
Sure.
That's the generation that you need to change their mindset. They are also in that particular institution. All right. So they both come together at that particular point. So the thing is, the church then becomes the ideal place to be able to now try to change those particular attitudes, because the youth already know what they want. The youth know what they want. It's the parents now, because I've been speaking to some parents who have been telling me, you know what, I know that my child is going to be an engineer. I know my child is going to be a doctor. I know my child is going to be a lawyer. I already know the top schools globally. There's MIT, there's Harvard, John Hopkins. They know the school fees. But when they come and say, I want to become a DJ, apparently there's no money to take you to DJ school.
Of course.
All right. So the thing is, parents are also investors into this particular in this particular choices that their children are making. Accepting is the first way to be able to get the support that they need, the networks that they need, the resources that they need to be able to be successful in the fields that they are in.
All right. This is a very powerful conversation, but we're taking a short break. When we come back right in Morning Live now, Roy will be telling us about savings culture, because now, as much as he'll be giving out the help, he also needs to inculcate the savings culture, because the young people live for the moment, trust me, and it's not funny. All that's coming to you after a short break. Welcome back to Morning Live. If you're joining us right now, I'm with Roy Gitahi, CEO at Work, and Chair of Buni Sacco. And trust me, this conversation is so interesting, because I feel like now artists have some power to make decisions, some power to actually have liberty to do what they want because of such brains in the name of at Work and, of course, Buni Sacco. Now, Roy, let's now delve on Buni Sacco, because now already, as much as you're talking about the talent, you must be empowered financially. True. Now, before you're empowered financially, at the end of the day, the game is a circle. You have to contribute for you to get. Now, there's this part where the contribution comes in, and it has to be very consistent for you actually, just to benefit from the whole idea, because the idea is just to putting heads together for the same common good. Now, I asked you this earlier. This talented person needs to come in, get some resources, record, shoot something, sell out there, write a good article, get exposed out there. There's a Buni Sacco also. Now, the contribution, the consistency of contribution, the fact that art is not always that, what can I say, in the field of payment. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's so many gaps. Yeah.
True. Very interesting. The one thing that you have to do is save. People cannot deny that the young people say that they do not have money. But yes, you find that from their spending habits, you actually do have money. It's a discipline that's lacking. And it's a discipline that we're trying to push as the circle. So the thing is that when your membership comes in, it's 2,500, where the 2,000 is for the joining amount, and then the 500 becomes your initial deposit. On minimum per month, you're supposed to contribute 500, but we do not refuse that you should contribute a higher amount than that. And to encourage people, what we've done is that we give benefits on savings. All right. So some of the benefits now, and we've calculated this, that when you save 80,000 shillings with Wabuni Sacco, we give you, one, healthcare insurance for yourself, your spouse, and your children. Number two, we also give you a life cover for $1 million. We also give you a pension account, because you'll not always be 21 or 18.
Sure.
All right. So you have to start saving for your future. When you get to 250,000, then we're able to give you your own website.
Okay.
A free website. We give you the website, we give you the photography, we give you the video, we give you the content, the graphic design, the blog, the blog, everything to start branding yourself as an individual. And then when you get to 500,000, we're able to give you a manager. A manager is somebody who will be going out, getting gigs on your behalf, making sure that your contracts are done, and making sure that you're paid. Then that way you're able to focus on what it is that you do.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And the reason why we put together that package is because we realize that there's no difference between you, the person, and the creative. The two are in one.
Sure.
You get sick, the creative is sick.
It's true that.
All right. So, and most people will never do healthcare or have any of those kind of things. It's those out-of-pocket expenses that we are now trying to give a safety net, safety net for.
Sure.
Now, as we continue along, of course, there are other benefits that will then be able to come up. Of course, there are other benefits that will come below that amount. Now, there are two targeted people, below 18 and above 18. All right. And this is the new young talent account, which is the acronym is NYOTA, which is a star. So as a parent, you notice that your child has a talent or a gifting in a particular space. The question is, what do you do as a parent to invest in that particular field? Open for them a NYOTA account where you contribute for them, and then we're able to now start shaping and guiding that particular career path for that particular child, so that by the time they're now 18, they basically have this a pool of funds that can now propel them or catapult them into that particular space. For those above 18, then it's the same process. Then we're able to support you with things like mentorship. We're able to start marketing, branding, the things that you actually need to get to where you're going. So this overall environment is actually then supported by now Art at Work. In that value chain that I mentioned, you ask yourself, how are we discovering these artists? All right, we need SMEs. You can't build a creative economy without SMEs. So you must build those SMEs. So in the value chain, you ask, who are the people who are going out to look for this talent? All right, they must be paid. And that's what we are now forming as SMEs. So we have an incubation program for people who want to start businesses within the creative and sports space.
And maybe before you proceed, the contributions, of course, have to be consistent. But when is one eligible to now take a loan?
Now, that the breakdown is, we want you to save for 6 months. First of all, all right. Now, the interesting thing is that on the first and second loan, you can only borrow maximum of 60-70% of what you have saved. So if you have saved 1,000, unfortunately you'll only be able to borrow 600 or 700 shillings. All right. That's for the first and second loan. And because what we're trying to do is now create a record of borrowing. All right. And all this is about a discipline. Now your second and your third and fourth loan, all right, you can borrow 2 times what it is that you have actually saved. All right. And then this is now building you to now the 3x, which is on your 5th and 6th loan, and then moving ahead. But by that time, we'll have established a pattern of what's going on. Now, for your first loan, of course, it's guaranteed by your savings and your guarantors. And then we've now worked out some very innovative products. Like, for example, we have operationalized, or in the process of operationalizing, something called the Movable Property Security Rights Act of 2017. Now, that's the most brilliant, if you ask me, the most brilliant piece of legislation that this government ever did for the young people. And because it now means that as a SACCO, I can now, young people do not have land, they do not have buildings, they do not have receivables, shares, logbooks, the traditional things that banks look at in terms of collateral. But what do they have? They have their art.
They have the art.
They have their music.
Do you follow up on the art?
And those are the kind of things that we do. So the thing is, we can actually give you a loan using your art as collateral, using your music rights as collateral, where even if you've done written work, where your publishing is actually collateral
Okay.
for that particular
Will
loan.
you be able to now go to the nitty-gritties of knowing how much this person gets from this music,
Yes.
from this artistic work, so that at least when there's a problem, you know, not everyone is able to consistently pay back.
That's the thing about that's the characteristic of creatives.
Okay.
Because today you've done this painting, it takes you another 2 months to be able to sell that painting. You then sell that, okay, and from January, let's say to April,
Yeah.
you get your large amount of money
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
But then for the next few months that you have no income or any money. Now banks will do it on a 30-day basis,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter whether you're not earning.
But do you have durations? Like, for example, you're taking this loan for 1 year. Is this strictly 1 year?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have tenors. We basically have, you have a 6-month tenor, a 1 year, well, tenor is the loan period.
Sure.
And our loans are quite short. And the reason why they're short is because they're transitional loans.
Okay.
For example, the example that I gave earlier about the musician, by taking you to a studio, all right, we are able to fund that particular process.
Yeah.
Then the product then comes out, which is basically your music.
Okay.
All right. And then when you start selling that music, then it's able to you're able to repay that. That's a very short turnaround. That's a very short turnaround period, which is what we're doing, because there's no way of identifying people and their talents just by looking at them. I can't tell whether you're a singer or what. So we have to go through the process of how then do we transition that intangible gifting that you have to become something tangible. If you're a musician, if you're an actor, if you're a dancer, how then do we verify that, hey, I can bust some moves here? How do you verify that? So we give you the platform to be able to do that and pay for that. And then that's why we sort people out and tell them, yeah, you can, you cannot, and that kind of thing. But for the ones who can, then we're able to say, look, this is the music that you do, this is the genre that you do, this is what you can, these are the opportunities that are there for jingles or the kind of songs that are there. And the other thing I find about the music industry is that everybody wants to become the one guy who does everything. Superstar. You're the one who does the writing, you're the one who does the arrangement, you're the one who does, but there are people who have got better talents than you. Whitney Houston didn't write all her songs. All right. The thing is, there are people who do that work, and all you are is the mouthpiece that delivers that particular song.
So what if someone doesn't, maybe, someone is unable to pay, what will happen?
And we look at two things here. You've got the savings that you have, which we can be able to fall back on. That's number one. We also have the product, which is basically the intellectual property or the song that you have, which one we can be able to fall back. There's also the guarantors who we can be able to revert back to. Now, the unique thing about the relationship between the SACCO and Art at Work is because Art at Work knows how to monetize those particular intangible assets. If you give us an art piece, we already know how we are going to monetize that in case of a default. But the whole point here is not to punish the person. Is yes, if you're unable to pay and we're able to monetize that particular asset, we only take back what it is that is due to us, and the rest comes back to you.
Something else, have you maybe you can mention a few guys who have embraced these, maybe in the world of sports, musicians, some of them maybe, are there any so far?
Well, we have a number, but not the young people. The Douglas Wakihori is in terms of sports, at least him we can be able to talk about. And of course there are those musicians who we're now in the process of, let's first of all see the successes before we're able to say, please talk to that particular individual. Because I find many organizations want to name drop. You know, this is, but if you then go to the person they have name dropped with and ask them, how does this work? Those people then become the ambassadors that we have done. This has taken us quite a long time to get to where we are right now, because it has been a process of constantly refining, redefining, and assessing what are the real requirements that are required here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mary, for coming. But before you go, modes of actually joining, because you need to tell us it's star 400. You mentioned something.
Yes. The thing is, the SACCO is totally digital. All right, it's a virtual. We built it as a virtual circle.
Okay.
All right, and the reason for that is because we wanted a lot of accountability, so that if you want to know your statements, then you'll be able to inquire from the circle, but also from your mobile money provider. All right, so you've got another source where you can be able to query.
Okay.
On that. So for us right now, we have you can be able to join only on USSD,
Okay.
which is star 483 star 527 hash. All right.
Star 483 star 527 hash. Okay.
Very good. All right. So that's the only mode that you'll be able to do. We don't have any written documents and that kind of thing. And then at a later date, probably in about the next 60 to 90 days, you then will be able to have an app that you'll be able to to do that. But for us, the USSD will just enable us to understand what people require, what people need.
Interesting. Now, communication, social media, where they can reach you to ask more questions?
Social media, you can actually reach me directly at Gitahi Roy. That's on that's on Twitter. You'll find us on Wabuniz also on Twitter. You'll find us on LinkedIn, and you'll also find us on Facebook.
Amazing. Thank you, Roy Gitahi, for coming.
Right.
And I know very well that you'll be contacted soon, because now you have so many young people out here who need such just to be tapped, opportunities to be empowered, and I believe you're heading the right direction.
Oh, thank you
so
much.
much. Thank you so much. Just hold right there.